Hello, welcome back, my favorite movement enthusiasts, to another episode of Your Requests Make My Life a Lot Easier. Because today's video was requested by at least half a dozen people, which makes it a priority for me, and I don't have to think about any video ideas for today. And today's video is going to be all about the back bridge, how to reach the back bridge, what are the most effective exercises that you can use, both dynamic stretching exercises as well as loaded mobility exercises. And to make all of this easier, we're going to break it up into different parts: our shoulders, our spine, our anterior chain, our posterior chain, and our hip flexors, so we can go through it step by step. Now let's start with our shoulders, our shoulder mobility, as well as our control over our scapula, because we need the strength and control as well as the mobility to move our arms and shoulders backwards more and more and more into this extension. We are going to require a lot of rotational shoulder mobility. So grab yourself a stick, a broomstick, or anything that you can hold on with both hands without having too much movement in the distance of your hand placement. And all you need to do from here, yes, complete rotations in your shoulders or in your rotator cuff, all the way forward and all the way backwards. Now we're not only just going through the motion of forward and backward, we want to work very precisely and move our scapula very distinctly with every single rotation. So if we start at the very front, moving up, we go into adduction. Moving further up, we go into scapular elevation, pulling our shoulders all the way up. Moving backwards, pull your shoulder blades together, adduction, and then all the way down into scapular depression. Pull those shoulder blades all the way down. So a complete rotation goes through scapular depression, adduction, elevation, abduction, and reversing the entire movement once more. Now you can either work slowly or you can work very dynamically. As long as you keep the control and the complete movement, you can basically work at whatever speed you enjoy the most. Now that we've got the rotational thing out of the way, we will isolate the adduction and abduction movements as well as the elevation and depression movement. And we're going to do it symmetrically and asymmetrically. Starting at neutral or shoulder height, we have pulling our shoulder blades together and extending them. This is symmetrical adduction and abduction, as well as asymmetrical left side, right side. We are learning how to control our shoulder blades both simultaneously as well as separately. We're going to do the same thing in elevation and depression. Elevation and depression. First, simultaneously, and then left side, right side, separately. This is going to teach you all the control you're going to require for this exercise. Which moves us to our next exercise, the passive hang, which is going to help us decompress our shoulders as well as the rest of our joints that we're going to later use for the back bridge. As you can see, this would be an active hang, and relaxing our shoulders and relaxing all of our body is going to pull us more and more and more into a lengthened position. The most important part about this exercise is you have to keep very relaxed, especially in your shoulders. You're going to notice if you are activated, your shoulder blades are going to be down here, and once you elevate them, pull them all the way up, this is going to relax you much more. So we have a lot of pull on our lats, on our delts, decompressing our rotator cuff as well as our elbows and our wrists, which is also amazing. And as a bonus, of course, we have complete decompression of our spine, which is very effective for people who struggle with, for instance, lumbar pain or thoracic pain caused by tightness. And if you want to take it even a step further, then we're going to do one-sided passive hangs for even more pull. Now, since we're still close to the bar and we're just hanging around not doing anything, we can move on to strengthening our scapular surrounding musculature through both symmetrical as well as asymmetrical scapular pull-ups. start. In a passive hang. First exercise, symmetrical scapular pull-ups, meaning we're working with both shoulder blades simultaneously. Depress your shoulder blades, adduct your shoulder blades, abduct your shoulder blades, and elevate them. Pull them down, pull them together, elevate them, and pull them apart. All the way up, all the way down. Keep your arms somewhat fully extended. Same passive hanging starting position, and we're gonna do asymmetrical scapular pull-ups, which look a little bit like short archer pull-ups. So an archer pull-up would be this one, bringing your shoulder all the way up, and an asymmetrical scapular pull-up would just be one-sided, short range of movement, and moving through the shoulder blade, upward turn and upward turn, right side, left side. This pretty much takes care of our shoulders, but we want to connect our shoulder musculature, stretches and mobility, as well as the strength, with our latissimus and some of the rest of our anterior chain, as well as our posterior chain in the thoracic level. So for this one, we're going to go through the butcher's block, which is an absolutely amazing exercise, and you're gonna notice if you've ever tried it before. What we need to do for this one is find ourselves some kind of elevation where we can place our elbows, and we're gonna grab ourselves some kind of stick, be it a broomstick or a training stick, whatever you have at home, it doesn't really matter. All we're gonna do from here is start in spinal extension, meaning switching from a rounded spine into an extended spine. Have your spinal erectors fully flexed to push down actively, and from here we're gonna pull in our arms, push our chest all the way down towards the ground, opening up all of these muscles and stretching them out, which is gonna release a lot of tension around our rotator cuff, and extend round your back, release all the tension, and repeat again. Spinal extension, biceps, flexion, push your chest all the way down towards the ground, and triceps, extension, spinal flexion, let go, and repeat. Push down, pull in, push down even more, and extend, reverse, round, take short break, and repeat. I can't stress this enough. This exercise feels absolutely amazing and is insanely effective in opening up our chest and shoulder area and letting loose of all the tension that we carry around there. And now we can move it down to our hip flexors, as well as our lower abdominals and our quadriceps, with one of the most, if not the most effective exercise for anterior chain flexibility. And we're gonna add a loaded stretch to it by using a kettlebell or some form of weight to not only help us get deeper into that stretch, but also to help us strengthen the posterior chain during the entire exercise with the couch stretch. We are going to push our lower leg all the way against whatever wall we are working on. If you can, bring the knee all the way back so you are touching with your entire lower leg, and we're gonna grab ourselves a weight on the same side for the knee on the ground. Elevate all the way, and the good thing about this exercise is the further you push your hips forward, the more stretch we're gonna have in our hip flexor in the extended side, and the more we push backwards, the stretch is gonna move down to our quadriceps. So let's check it out on the other leg for a better perspective. You're gonna raise that weight up. This is already pushing you a little bit deeper into a stretch, and now moving forward into more and more of a back extension is going to open up your hip flexor, and you're gonna feel it a little bit more on the top. And once you push back as far as you can, that stretch is gonna move from the top here all the way to the bottom in your quadriceps. And if you wanna work dynamically, you're gonna switch between forward and backwards. And if you wanna work statically, you're gonna hold it 30 seconds here, 30 seconds here, and just through switching forward and backward, you're gonna be relaxing one part and stretching the other, and vice versa. So this way, you don't have to take full breaks between every set of 30 seconds. Instead, you can do 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there, repeat 2 or 3 rounds, and then switch to your other leg. Now, of course, additionally, this one helps us a little bit more with our shoulder mobility when it comes to moving backwards, which once again is gonna open up our chest, our frontal delts, and our abdominals for an anterior chain stretch. So from your knee all the way up to your hands, we have a nice little stretch in the front side. And for me, I can't think of a better loaded stretch. This one just personally feels so damn good to me, especially because opening up your hip flexors, which usually are very tight from sitting all day long on your computer, or maybe just lying on your side and sleeping on your side, which leads to a lot of tension in our hips. Releasing that just feels amazing. Not to mention that we have an ankle extension on one side while working dynamically on our ankle mobility on the other leg, especially if you bring your knee further forward than your toes. And once you switch sides, you're gonna have the opposite extension in your right ankle, as well as dynamic mobility in your left ankle. And the combination of opening up our shoulders as well as our hips simultaneously is amazing for learning exercises such as the bridge pose, because we are working on every single muscle we need to stretch in our anterior chain to get into that position. Now, since we haven't worked on our spine per se or directly, we're gonna move on to that first with the cat-cow for mobilizing our spinal musculature as well as training our spine to go through flexion and extension at will. Your hands are turned outwards for a little bit more lat engagement, and then we're going to switch hands inwards, arms long, shoulders long, tilt your pelvis forward. Flex that spine completely and let your head hang loose. Complete spinal flexion. And now we're going to switch between breathing into spinal extension, turning our hands outwards, more lat engagement, back musculature engagement, and breathing out. Lengthening our shoulders, our spine, and pushing our pelvis forward and pulling our head all the way down. And then we're gonna add upward dog stretches or switches to strengthen our entire posterior chain in that deep extension phase. We're gonna use this as our starting position and switch from the very top as high as you can with a flexed back. And then we're gonna push our pelvis actively towards the ground, flexing our glutes, flexing our spinal erectors, and raising our knees from the ground before we reverse the entire movement once more. Now be sure to work in very controlled movements. Breathing in forward, push the pelvis down actively, keep your arms extended, shoulders long, and then breathe out and reverse the entire movement. Now to move this a step further for both spinal extension as well as adding our glutes and hamstrings to the mix and strengthening them together so we have all the muscles activated that we need for the bridge pose, we're going to move on to dynamic pigeon stretches, which are absolutely amazing for doing exactly that. An upright pigeon pose, bring both our hands behind our head, and now we're gonna start folding forward, bringing our head all the way down to the ground, and then standing up again and pushing forward, opening our hip flexor on the other side. Now we have an insanely effective combination that works on our entire lower body. We're moving forward into a bend, and we're pushing up into an extension, forward into a bend, and upright into an extension, which means that up here we are opening our entire anterior chain and stretching it out, and then we are slowly in a controlled fashion moving down, opening our hips as well as our glutes on the other side, and then strengthening our posterior chain by pulling our upper body up all the way once more. Touch down in a controlled fashion and up all the way. And there you have it. If you can put all of these exercises together and work them at the very least 2 or maybe even 3 times a week, you're gonna be bending backwards like it's nobody's goddamn business. You're gonna be a pro at back bridges. Not just that, but spinal mobility itself is very important, and you are working both your spinal mobility as well as your entire body mobility. Just having that will help you avoid injuries as well as advance other aspects of your training. Not just mobility, not just calisthenics, but also stuff like lifting. If you're doing deadlifts, if you are lifting with heavy squats, all of this will work into this and help you out even more. Now, with that said, sadly, that's all the time we have left for you today. However, if you like the video and subscribe, and please check out other videos on this channel because we literally have new ones every single day. So until tomorrow, Captain Cairo, peace out.